to today's video. Today we're back with 8.3.2, Shame the Devil. This is probably one of the more tricky boss fights, I would say, of the three. Atuma's quite annoying, and so is Mephisto. Dormammu wasn't too bad. The path isn't crazy. If you've got quite a lot of champs, there shouldn't be too much of an issue. You know, you can bring in your main sort of big hitters, some of the best champs in the game, your best tech champs, your best cosmic champs like Hulkling, CGR, Venom, those type of people. So the fight shouldn't be too much of an issue. So let's jump in, talk about which is probably the easiest path, and go from there. So I'd probably say the Gambit one is. It's probably got the easiest defenders. Craven can be a bit annoying, but I would say this or the Iron Man Superior are probably the easiest ones. We will talk through both. If you like a weapon node, go through the Iron Man Superior one first. If you like, if you've got a lot of big cosmic champs like your Hulklings, Adam Warlock, CGR, those type of champions, then do take the Gambit one. It's sort of neither here nor there which one you go through. If you're going for a completion, you will have to go through them all. So let's start with we'll start with the Gambit path because it's right there. Whenever a cosmic attacker activates a striker, you gain 3 aptitude buffs for 20 seconds. They're paused while the striker is active. The 20 seconds is quite nice here because that gives you enough time if you're hitting the defender to do to get your spirit gain up for another relic. So you're constantly got aptitudes on the go. The attacker's aptitude effects are 25% more potent, and the defender takes 50% less damage unless you have an aptitude. Each time you block an attack, your block proficiency reduces by 6%. After 10 stacks, their next attack is unblockable. The defender is immune to effects of Infuriate and Intimidate, and they're more aggressive. Neither of those nodes really matter at the end. So looking at it, what kind of champs do you need? Well, you need cosmic champs with aptitude buffs, who probably then go through the fights a bit quicker because you don't need to wait for your spirit gain to rise. These are champs like Hulkling, Angela, Venom with the Spider-Man 2099 synergy, Silver Surfer with Adam Warlock. Both of those benefit from aptitudes. CGR, Odin, Red Goblin, those type of those champs with relics, any cosmic champ you like, because they'll get the aptitudes from using the relics. So you can bring in Hercules, Hyperion, one of the Deathless King Groot. Works quite nicely for this path. There aren't too many difficult defenders, as mentioned. Guillotine, kind of annoying. If you bring in Hercules, you can use her. Hercules' True Sense. Other True Sense does work as well, obviously. Ultron, keep Craven to his SP2 if you can, and Warlock you will get through him quite quickly because you have class advantage. So that's that path. Very easy path. You guys shouldn't worry about that too much. I would say that you'll probably find that quite fun if you've got the big cosmic champs who do a lot of special damage because they absolutely shred with those aptitude buffs on. That all of their buffs are just getting made to be that much stronger. So now we'll look at the Superior Iron Man. Weapon node. Whenever a buff is on the attacker is removed for any reason other than natural expiry, the defender inflicts a bleed passive on the attacker, dealing 150% of their attack over 10 seconds. If a buff was prevented due to ability accuracy, the defender instead inflicts 3 bleed passives. To disarm it, you need to knock him down with a special. While unarmed, you will take 400%, or you will do 400% more damage from your special 2. And to capture it, you need a striker. So the key here, I think, is to disarm it with a special knockdown. Probably try and get to 2.5 bars of power. Then, once that has happened, throw your special 2, so you're doing 400% more damage. Capture the striker, and then bring in your champs who are bleed immune, mystics, because you don't want to be hit by those heavy bleeds, I would say, personally. And so your champs like Absorbing Man, Kushala works really nicely. That's who I used for this. Clairvoyant worked quite nicely. Or you can play it a different way and just bring in a Mystic champ like Doom, but as soon as you get to your special one, throw it and then knock them down and then capture the node so that you're not taking too many bleed passives. That was the way I played it. I didn't bring in the bleed immune. I did bring in one with Kushala, but that was it. I do think you can bring in sort of your Dooms and do a special knockdown, as disarm it as quickly as possible and then capture it, and then you're putting a lot of bleeds on the opponent there. No difficult defender on this. Nova is probably the hardest one. I really don't like fighting Nova, but I don't think he should be too challenging if you've got like your Dooms, your Kushalas, Absorbing Man, those type of champions. So again, not too tricky for the first two paths. Not too much to worry about there. I think they seem a bit harder when you look from the outside, but once you get into the fights, they really are not something to worry about too much. And then finally, the one beginning with Kitty Pryde. This can be a little bit intimidating, quite funny because that's the name of the node. But because she's at the start, and there's a few tricky champs on here, but trust me, it does go quite nicely. So you can bring in tech champions with lots of armors. This is because whenever you inflict a debuff on the defender, you have a 40%. Jesus, can't even speak today. 40% chance to inflict a non-stacking cowardice passive, reducing their special attack damage by 40% for 20 seconds. Chance increases by flat 20% for each armor up on the attacker. So that will also remove their prowesses. So this Kitty Pryde shouldn't be too much of an issue. Every 6 seconds, the defender gains an indefinite fury buff. While suffering from a cowardice effect, the defender can't gain new fury. So you want to get those. You want to inflict debuffs so that you can stack those cowardice passives. Although they are non-stacking, so refreshing them is what I meant. Whenever the attacker's combo meter reaches 20, the defender gains a stacking 5-second unblockable. So for Kitty Pryde, this is just about getting her to her SP2 or making sure she doesn't throw that SP1, because that will do a lot of incinerate damage. And then other than that, they are immune to the effects of Nullify, Stagger, Fate Seal, Buff Immunity, and cannot have their buff ability actually modified due to abilities like Neutralize and Soul Imprisonment. So there's no way of stopping these champs from gaining any buffs other than the cowardice, so you can't get rid of that unblockable or the prowesses. And finally, whenever the attacker blocks a hit from the special, you gain a fury buff increasing by 50%. So try and block their special attacks, you will gain that nice little fury. Best champions for this are champions who inflict quite a few debuffs onto the defender. This can be like a stun. So if you've got champions with lots of armor ups and it's increasing by a flat 20%, if they've got 3 armor ups, every stun is putting a cowardice on them. For that, I bought in Future Ant-Man, and I also had Iron Doom, just because he constantly was putting that cowardice on anyway. You can bring in champs with only like 1 or 2 armors to improve it to sort of 60%, and you just, inflict more debuffs like your Shuris or your, like I said, Iron Doom, Warlock, Guillotine, because they are inflicting debuffs anyway, so they can also work. But, any tech champ really does work for this, preferably with more armor ups like Red Skull. Ultron can work, Nimrod, Future Ant-Man, the buffed Iron Man would be really, really good for this. I'm trying to think off the top of my head who else. Vision, Howard the Duck. So there are quite a few champs to use for this. The path's not too tricky. So like I said, 3 easy paths. Do bring in somebody who's a poison immune for this eye bomb. Otherwise you will take a lot of damage. Other than that, you shouldn't be it shouldn't be too tricky. As the paths go, I honestly do think that again, like 8.3.1, we've got off to quite a nice start where it's probably not that difficult for you. So we'll just go from bosses left to right, because the easiest boss I will let you guys know at the end, but we'll speak through all three. I can't remember who's the easiest off the top of my head, so I will have to think. If the attacker hasn't lasted for this Dormammu, if the attacker hasn't landed a hit in 6 seconds, they take direct damage. Landing a hit removes the damage, so you've just got to stay on them. Whenever the attacker stuns the defender, a buff is nullified off both of them. All science champions receive a fury of 125%, and the defender gains an unstoppable, but if you're far away, you gain that unstoppable. So this is just science attackers, really. Any science attacker works. You will take degen just naturally from Dormammu. I'm trying to click on the defender tab to try and remember why. If we find it, I will be able to tell you. Nope, can't remember. Can't remember why he puts that degen on you, so sorry for that. Not the brute force degen, he puts on a separate one. So bring in your champs: Titania, Overseer, Scorpion, Spider Ham, Silk. Just your best Scorpion, your best science attackers, and that shouldn't be too much of an issue. Probably the easiest fight, all things considered, given that you only really need a science champion for it. Atuma, a little bit harder, I would say. He's got shock vulnerability, so shock debuffs will do more damage to him. Someone like Shuri, Storm, Black Widow, Deadly Origin, those champions will do more damage. For each debuff, he gains 35% attack and a 10% combat power rate. So he will do quite a bit more damage, but as you can see, again, it's a big Atuma who takes more damage from shocks. Shuri does work really well. Just remember that SP1 is easier to dex, I think, although both probably about the same, his SP1 and his SP2. Watch out for his unstoppables when he's above 18 or 17 hydrations, because that might surprise you and you might take a lot of damage. But for this, your Bishop works really well. Storm Pyramid X, Shuri, those type of champs who also won't take the Thorns damage that he'll be giving you. So that's something definitely to be aware of. And then finally, Mephisto. I never mind fighting Mephisto, and purely because of Kitty Pryde, really. His incinerates obviously cause her to do her temperature to go up, so her prowesses become more powerful. He does have indefinite protection, so it goes on cooldown when he's hit by a striker, so you do need a striker. It does deal a burst of direct damage to 200% of the damage he deals. You also gain a fury straight after the striker's been put on. The defender gains an indefinite energized passive every 10 seconds. The time is refreshed and all are removed when you throw a striker. So again, you definitely need a striker, and there is limbo on this path. A big Mephisto where you need a striker. That's basically this fight. Good champs: Void, Anti-Venom, Human Torch, Black Widow, Clairvoyant, Red Hulk. I use Kitty Pryde because 2 special 2s, and he just flew down. Because I'm getting her to 20 prowesses. He's got me at 400 temperature. I'm throwing my striker, and I'm doing so much crit damage there. So they're your bosses. Not that tricky. Some tricky defenders in the sense that it's Atuma and Mephisto, but the actual nodes on there are quite scarce. You can see 5 nodes on that defender, and 2 of which don't matter at all. And then you've got a few more on here, but again, 3 that are important, which actually benefit you. So that will do it for a 8.3.2. Hopefully this has helped you out. If it has, please leave a like and subscribe in the comments down below. Also follow me on Twitter and check out any of the shorts that will be coming out on the channel as well. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, check the next one out as well. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.